Helen, good to have you join us on the News on the Hour, the major stories. The Primate of all Nigeria, His Grace the Most Reverend Dr. Henry C. Ndukuba, has appointed the Venerable Ephraim Akanya as the Chief Protocol Officer of the Church of Nigeria and the Venerable Festus Wamfili as the Warden of St. Matthias House, the Secretariat of the Church of Nigeria. The Chief Shepherd on the Niger charges the newly admitted and confirmed persons on the need to be willing to submit themselves for the Master's use. As part of the school's extracurricular activities, the students of El Shalom Convent, New Haven, Okpoko of the Anglican Diocese of Ogbaru, Anambra State, embarked on an excursion to the recently commissioned Anambra State International Passenger and Cargo Airport, Umweri, for instructional teachings, practical experiences, and sightseeing. And now the news in details. The Primate of all Nigeria, His Grace the Most Reverend Dr. Henry C. Ndukuba, has appointed the Venerable Ephraim Akanya as the Chief Protocol Officer of the Church of Nigeria and the Venerable Festus Wamfili as the Warden of St. Matthias House, the Secretariat of the Church of Nigeria. This is as contained in a letter signed by the Venerable Dr. Geshine Paul Dajo, the General Secretary, Church of Nigeria, and made available to Acnn TV. The Venerable Akayan took over from the Venerable Ben Owunchola, the Bishop-elect of the Diocese of Otukpo. He was the Assistant Chief Protocol Officer in the same Secretariat and currently serves in the Cathedral Church of the Advent, Gwarimpa, Abuja, as the Subdean, while Venerable Wamfili served in the Secretariat as the chaplain to the former Primate of all Nigeria, is currently the Archdeacon of Maitama Archdeaconry and the Vicar of St. Matthew's Church, Maitama, Abuja. He took over this position from the same Bishop-elect of Otukpo Diocese, the Venerable Ben Owunchola. Diocese of Sapele, Ecclesiastical Province of Bendel, Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, has held a Thanksgiving service to herald the second session of the 5th Synod of the Diocese amidst wild jubilations among the House of Clergy, laity, and guests. Delta State Acnn News correspondent Austin Azu reports that the 4-day annual festival was successful.
The Bishop and wife Diocese of Sapele Ecclesiastical Province of Benden, Right Reverend Dr. and Mrs. Blessing Refeta led the House of Clergy, laity and other guests to the dance floor in appreciation to God Almighty for a successful synod. Thereafter, the 13 archdeaconries took turn one after the other to offer thanksgiving also. Indeed, an atmosphere of praises in celebration of the second session of the 5th Synod of the Diocese of Sapele at St. Jude Anglican Church, Jedotan, in Okpa local government area of Delta State. The host bishop and president of Synod, Bishop Refeta, said, Thanksgiving provides an atmosphere of renewal of God's blessings upon one's life, even as he urged all to cultivate the attitude of gratitude to God Almighty for all his mercies upon everyone. The soft-spoken bishop, who also strayed on how thanksgiving to God can usher in healthy nation, explained further that the country can only experience credible and acceptable polls next year if Nigerians do not relent in appreciating God in anticipation.
This is the time where God is going to show up. I remember in Egypt when the children of Israel were hopeless because of what they are going through under their taskmaster. Of course, the politicians we have today, they are worse than taskmasters because they have pushed the Nigerians into hard labor, by the poverty Nigerians are experiencing. And so if God, who did it for the Israelites in Egypt, is the same God we are serving, of course it's the same. I know this is the time it's going to show up.
Earlier in a sermon, the guest speaker, Bishop, Diocese of Esan, Right Reverend Gabriel Eliabo, who dwelt on this year's theme, Blinded by the God of this World, a pointer to spiritual blindness and insensitivity, with a subtopic, a call to rekindle soul winning, called on Christians to reevaluate themselves and reunite with God, their Creator. The bishop, who also analyzed areas where Satan has blinded many, urged worshippers to seek God with all their hearts and obey all God's instructions.
Because before now, we believe that those who are outside, they are the ones that are blinded by the God of this world. But from what is happening, we can see even those in the church.
Some worshippers who shared their synod experiences appreciated God for a successful event, even as they looked forward towards next year's synod.
Our expectation, God really even above what we were expecting.
God still has something for this nation, Nigeria.
Much happiness, so much excellence around. Everybody was so happy.
That is what we have seen in our midst during this synod, that this God that we are serving is in our midst and is working effectively.
Right Reverend Dr. Blessing Irefita, however, announced Okpe South, Okpe West and Amokpe Archdeaconries to host next year's synod. ACNN News, Jedu Town, Austin, Azu, reporting.
Thank you, Austin, for the report. The Chief Shepherd on the Niger has charged the newly admitted and confirmed persons on the need to be willing to submit themselves for the Master's use. He made it known during the confirmation, admission and valedictory service of the outgoing student of Holy Innocent Juniorate Convent, Unkpo. The 37-year-old citadel of learning of the diocese has trained many women and young ladies who are taking their rightful place in the scheme of things in the society. Bishop Wonkolo reminded them what is expected of them, which includes submitting themselves for the Master's use, offering themselves as a living sacrifice, and as well towering the right path that leads to godliness, showing forth the light as Christians at all times, and not being conformed to the world. He thereafter prayed that God will be glorified in their lives. Highlights of the service are dedication of the renamed chapel, Chapel of the Light by His Lordship, dedication of the newly donated marble pulpit, reading desk, and the bishop marble throne that was donated by old girls of the institution, Holy Communion, special prayers for the outgoing student, presentation of gifts to the best student by Mama Niger, Dr. Mrs. Nyelum Wonkolo, amongst others. As part of the school's extracurricular activities, the students of El Shalom Convent New Haven, Okpoko, of the Anglican Diocese of Ogbara, Anambra State, embarked on an excursion to the recently commissioned Anambra State International Passenger and Cargo Airport, Umweri, for instructional teachings, practical experiences, and sightseeing. It was a great time out for the students, as the experience would continually create great memories and foster balance on certain practical issues of such regard. Furthermore, the experience is expected to enhance the curriculum by allowing students to better grasp and retain concepts. It also promises to promote their engagement levels, build confidence, teamwork, and create connections. All in all, such an experiential learning has shown to allow students to think differently, try new things, and then improve their skills, preparing them for real-life challenges. The Catholic Archdiocese of Abuja has described as falsehood and fake news a report that its Archbishop Ignatius Kaigama has endorsed the former governor of Borno State, Kashim Shettima, as the vice presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress (APC) in the 2023 presidential election. The Catholic Church said the fake news followed the nationwide outrage that greeted the Muslim ticket of the APC since Shettima's announcement by the party's presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. The Director of Communications in Archdiocese, Reverend Father Patrick Alumuku, who clarified this in a statement titled Archbishop Kaigama endorses Shettima, a disclaimer, said that the general public is notified that Archbishop Kaigama has not and will not endorse any candidate as his flock cut across political parties, and he would not prefer one candidate above the other. Alumuko said that it was up to Nigerian voters to make their choice through the ballot box by electing the best candidate, adding that the loyalists of the APC have been at their wit's end, explaining to Nigerians the soundness of their choice. According to the statement, the fake news has to do with the event of 2016 as the then president of CBCN, Archbishop Kaigama, along with other bishops, graced the Golden Jubilee of the Catholic Diocese of Maiduguri, while Kashim Ibrahim Shatima was the governor of Borno State, and they took pictures together. You're still watching the news on the hour. Still to come, Bishop of Chelmsford and the Dean of Chelmsford announces a visitation at Chelmsford Cathedral. That story and others will come your way after this break. Kindly stay tuned.
Hello viewers, welcome to this week's episode on Health Watch on Advent Cable Network Nigeria. I am Angela Emeka Epibo.
What we need as humans is to have a good spiritual life. It's more important than having an abundance of possessions without a healthy spirit.
We have issues that relate to sexual affairs. There is something called consent. If a person says no, that means she or he hasn't given their consent.
My mother delivered children on her own. A baby that is too big, how do you want it to come out without having issues?
Your faith does not negate you going for a medical check or engaging in a medical therapy. It doesn't.
The patient has his own rights, and this right has to do with the right patient, the right drug, the right dose, the right duration, you understand? Even the right time in how it is given.
Crossfire is a program that treats controversial topics on diverse issues surrounding the family, church, and society.
Does it mean if a woman now prays with her hair uncovered, God will not honor the prayer?
Should single ladies ask single guys out on a date?
It's not a sign of desperation. It's you knowing what you want and going for it.
Okay.
But you can't tell me that comedy in the church is wrong.
Written by
If you go through our Church of Nigeria hymn now, you will see so many hymns written by Nigerians.
A man is seeing something here, he's going for something else. Men are confused.
That's why I said you have to help them out.
Okay. Sir, can you stop a bird from flying? Depending.
But we are not instituted, we are forgiven.
No, you have forgiven, but that forgiveness amounts to a criminal offense.
How?
Hold on. Section 7.
My brother, anybody can bring if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? It matters. So.
No, I'm not saying nobody is destroying any foundation here.
Tuned. If you're just joining us, you're watching the news on the hour. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at acnntv.com or our social media platforms on facebook.com or youtube.com/acnntv. To be up to date with our news and other programs, download the Avo TV app from Google Play Store. You can also advertise your goods and services on ACNN TV. Moving on. The Vicar of St. James's Anglican Church of Sokoro, Venerable Benjamin Dume, has encouraged all citizens of Nigeria to go out and get their permanent voters' cards as they prepare for the 2023 general election. He made this known in an interview with SNN News crew in Abuja, saying they cannot continue to allow mediocrity supersede sound reasoning, as all in this country have suffered due to improper decision of leadership, urging them not to allow affliction arise the second time in Nigeria.
Every citizen is encouraged to go and get his voter's card. We can no longer continue to allow mediocrity to supersede sound reasoning. We have suffered a great deal, whether you are in the church or you are outside the church. We are in the same country. We will not continue to allow rascals continue to occupy position of leadership in our country. The bitter woes and all that we suffer today is as a result of our nonchalance and our unwillingness to heed to the call of the Christian leaders to get involved in politics and get involved in the voting process. So every believer, every child of God, everyone, every citizen should go. 2023, we must decide correctly. We will not allow this affliction to come upon us a second time. God help us.
Meanwhile, Rabiu Kwankwanso, the presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, has chosen the Lagos-based pastor Bishop Isaac Idahosa as his presidential running mate for the 2023 election. The party made the announcement on the official Twitter page of its campaign organization and in a statement issued by his media aide, Muyiwa Fatosa. Senator Kwankwanso announced that the choice of Bishop Idahosa was made after careful considerations and meticulous screenings of more than 20 prospective candidates, all of whom were eminently qualified to run with him. The 57-year-old Bishop Idahosa is the presiding bishop and senior pastor of the God First Ministry, Lekki Light Center, Ajah, hails from Edo State. He is a trained automobile engineer from the Kaduna Polytechnic. He also has master's and doctorate degrees in theology. The statement said Bishop Idahosa will be publicly and officially unveiled to Nigerians on Monday, July 18th at the International Conference Center, Abuja. The coalition of northern groups, CNG, said Nigerians have lost hope in the nation's democratic system because of security challenges and economic hardship besetting Nigeria. Chairman Board of Trustees of CNG, Dr. Nasturu Asha Sharif, disclosed this in Katsina during a one-day sensitization lecture on permanent voters card PVC's registration with the theme, Get Your PVC to Rescue and Rebuild Nigeria. He said the problem is that a lot of people had lost hope in the democratic system because of what they had gone through from 2015 to date in terms of insecurity and hardship, saying the people are reluctant to go out and register their PVCs. But with the current enlightenment by the coalition of northern groups, God willing, people will come out and register. Dr. Nasturu admonished Nigerians to desist from selling their votes, saying as far as we collect money from politicians and vote, we will never get the good leaders we want. He called on the government to provide adequate security to hard-to-reach communities across the frontline states to enable displaced persons from the affected areas to return to their ancestral homes and cast their votes in the forthcoming election. On the foreign scene, the Bishop of Chelmsford and the Dean of Chelmsford have announced that a visitation will take place at the cathedral later this year. The visitation will commence early in November 2022. Precise dates are yet to be decided. Like all other churches and cathedrals, living through the pandemic and adjusting to new ways of engaging and different patterns of worship has been deeply challenging for Chelmsford Cathedral and all who work and worship there. But the Bishop and Dean are convinced that this period also represents opportunities which they are eager to capture, develop and learn from. In recent months, Chelmsford Cathedral has been without a permanent chief operating officer. Plans are in place for the appointment of a COO in September 2022. With the departure of 2 residential canons in recent months, the number of full-time clergy is lower than ideal, and it would be useful to explore ways of ensuring the cathedral is best placed to consolidate any new appointments. In view of all this, the Bishop and Dean are arranging for a pastoral visitation to take place that will consider broadly the life, mission and ministry of the cathedral and the alignment with the developing life of the diocese. The pastoral visitation will be a general one that will consider in particular areas of governance, operations, culture and relationships, international, internal and external, worship and the role of the cathedral in the life of the wider diocese. The new cathedral's measure 2021 will have a significant impact on the governance structures of Chelmsford Cathedral. The panel will write a report to be received by the bishop, who will consult with the dean before considering the most appropriate ways of sharing findings and taking forward any learnings. The aim is to be as transparent and open as possible. A Christian bicycle mechanic in Lahore, Pakistan, was sentenced to death last week on baseless charges of blasphemy. According to his lawyer, Anthony Raz Ajum, In 2017, Mohammed Afan had asked Ashfaq Mashar not to charge him for a bicycle repair because he was a devotee of Muslim Sufis and saints. Ashfaq Mashar rejected his request, saying he only followed Jesus and wasn't interested in Afan's religious status as a Muslim. Police subsequently arrested the 36-year-old Pentecostal from Lahore's Greentown area, accusing him of disrespecting Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam, by allegedly saying that Christ was the only true prophet. Mensah was testified that he was framed on false charges by the complainant in the case, Mohammed Ashfaq, who is the landlord of his shop, and Mohammed Navid, who runs a nearby bicycle and motorbike repair shop. Mensah told the court that Navid was jealous of his success, twice had tried to pick fights with him over clients and nurtured a grudge. Anthony Raz Ajum said Mohammed Afan had been pressurizing Mensah to vacate the shop, ignoring the last mentioned pleas to not displace his running business. Mensah believes both Ashfaq and Navid conspired to implicate him in a blasphemy case by using Afan. The Anthony said that the judge disregarded his pleas to give the benefit of the doubt to Mensah, as there was no evidence against him. But the judge handed Mensah the death sentence on July 4. You're still watching the news on the hour. To end the news, here's a recap of the major stories. The primate of all Nigeria, His Grace the Most Reverend Dr. Henry C. Undukuba, has appointed the Venerable Ephraim Akanya as the Chief Protocol Officer of the Church of Nigeria and the Venerable Festus Wamfili as the Warden of St. Matthias House, the Secretariat of the Church of Nigeria. The Chief Shepherd on the Niger charges the newly admitted and confirmed persons on the need to be willing to submit themselves for the Master's use. Plus, as part of the school's extracurricular activities, the students of El Shalom Convent, New Haven, Okpoko, of the Anglican Diocese of Ogbaro, Anambra State, embarks on excursion to the recently commissioned Anambra State International Passenger and Cargo Airport, Umweri, for instructional teachings, practical experiences, and sightseeing. And so with that, we wrap it up for this edition of the News on the Hour. I want to thank you so much for watching. I am Phoebe Agimehu. Do have for yourselves a lovely weekend, and God bless you.